Okay, in this assignment we're going to be doing two different skills. The first skill is sighting angles relative to vertical and horizontal. So when you're sitting down looking at something like the open doorway in this case, you're holding your pencil straight out, your arms are straight, your elbows are locked, and you're holding your pencil at horizontal. And you're looking at the angles created with the different lines. So look at the corner at the top of the roof of this room. It's not a horizontal line, so those are the angles you're looking for. So here's an example. As I'm sitting down, I'll hold my pencil up and I'll be looking to see what angles are created when at the door that I'm looking at the door that I'm sighting. What are the angles for the bookcases in the back? What are the angles for the door or down at the floor? And you can see these are not horizontal lines that you'll be drawing when you're in there. So you'll need to be holding your pencil up and just having a look at the different angles that are created. Okay, the second skill you're going to be learning is to sight sizes relative to each other. So you'll choose a basic unit. You did this with the chair, but now you're picking a basic unit. In this example, say the top of a doorway. You're holding your arm out, holding your pencil out, and you're sighting the basic unit is the top of that doorway. Well, then you're looking to see how long is that doorway in relation to the top of it. And if you use your pencil and you go down and you'll say, okay, that was the top of the doorway. Now the length of the doorway is 2 2/3 as long as the top. So that's what you're going to be using to measure size. So as an example, here I am looking at my doorway and I'm looking to see how long the top of the doorway is. That'll be my basic unit. Then I look to see, okay, well, if that was how wide the doorway is, how long is it compared to the top of the doorway? And I can see it's about, in this case, about 2 2/3 long. So that's the sighting and proportion that I'm going to be using as I do that. If I draw on my paper the top of the door about this length of my pencil, I know that I have to go and come down and do the same. 2 2/3 longer for the side of the door, or for the door frame. And the same, you use that proportion for your window. Okay, so the window on the door is about, I don't know, 1 1/4 longer than the top of the doorway. So you're using your basic unit. Your plastic picture plane is going to come in very handy here. You're going to hold it up to your open doorway to make sure that you're drawing just what's within the point of view that you want to draw. Once you have it there, you can take your erasable marker and you can draw just your basic unit on that. And when you go to transfer this to your paper, you're going to use your crosshairs and your basic unit. Now in this case, I drew a lot more than the basic unit. I did a lot of the outlines and shapes in there just to get started, but you certainly don't have to do that much detail in there. But this is how you can use your plastic picture plane. If you only wanted to, you could have just drawn the top of the open doorway, and that would have given you enough reference to have done the rest by using your sighting angles and sighting sizes relative to each other. Now, as I start doing this drawing, I'm making some little points on my paper to make sure that everything is in the right spot. So as I go through here, as I see, I can look at this corner here and I can see, okay, well, how far is it from the edge of the paper? And then I'm going to just do a little tick there and say, okay, that's where I know the corner is going to be. And then I'll look at different angles, the different angles and lines that are created relative to each other, but at least I want it positioned correctly on the paper. And I've done the same, made a little dot on the bottom for where the bottom of the door is there. And then I'm having a look to see, okay, how is this relative to horizontal? Is the actual doorway, not the door, does it start and end on the same line as my open door? And I see that it doesn't. It actually goes up a little bit further. And I'll notice in this one as I've drawn it, oh, I actually drew it a little bit too far down when I do that. And you'll see as I go back, when you've toned the paper here, it's really quite easy to adjust that. I can see I've drawn that corner just a little bit too far down there when I go to compare. So now I'm just going to have to go in and fix that line and bring the door up just a little bit. So those are the things I'm looking at, the angles of the doors created, and I'm also looking at the where everything is relative to other lines on the paper. When you're drawing again, I mean, I have my plastic picture plane here and I've got a lot drawn in it, but really be looking for shapes, those negative spaces, to be drawing things. So when I drew the coat here, it was drawing the negative spaces around the coat rather than the coat. And, you know, really be looking for those, sighting those angles with your pencil up at the doorway, and looking for the angles where you're at. For me, as I got in there, once I had my basic shapes in there, I really did have to go back in with my ruler. You can see I wasn't very good at doing horizontal lines in there when I had my roughed in shape, and certainly the doorway is a straight line. So I go back in and I adjust things with my ruler and make those lines straighter where they should have been straighter, and so that my doorway isn't a curved bowing door. Some people are really good at drawing straight lines right off the bat, and they do a great job with that. If you need to use your ruler, do use your ruler. It's not a crutch. If you need a straight line and you weren't able to draw a straight line, get your ruler out and make sure you've got a nice straight line in there as you go through and do this. So that's what I'm just doing here, is I'm just cleaning up my curved lines. I can see here from, as I'm watching this now in the video, how curvy that wall is that's just inside my doorway. So I'll have to go in and clean that up with the ruler as well. Once you've got everything roughed in, you can take your plastic picture plane and see if you've, you know, where you're at and if you got things roughly in the right area. And you can make changes as needed when you go. It's very forgiving. Once you are happy with the changes that you've made and you've got everything blocked in nicely, now you can go in with your eraser and erase the toned background and add shading where you need to. So essentially what you're going to be doing in here is you're going to be creating some lights and shadows, and this is the perfect time to use that toned ground. So you're erasing for highlights and you're going to be adding in shading to create some darkness in there. And just use your creativity and you know, go in with your eraser, do smudges with your fingers, adding in shading with your pencil to really make this this doorway come to life. As always, don't forget to sign and date your drawing on the bottom, and then you can send that in.